when you have a sense of self, you get to know what life is from those lovely depths of you, what love is from the depths of you again, and how to be yourself mindfully, spiritually in your lovely relationships and outside of those relationships. So, spiritually for those of you of the spirituality community, mindfully for those of you of the mindfulness community. And so, you are mindful when you are yourself, when you have a sense of self, when you have an inner child adult, when you are actively unconsciously loving, because you do know how to be a person who has flaws with integrity. We all do, right? And you all own your inner child adult. Otherwise, you don't actively own and or know the sense of self. So when you hear many words out there, you think of, wow, yoga, heart body, value body. Wow, pure consciousness, purusha, prakriti. Wow, wow, wow. So I've heard a lot of words throughout my years, but I am a 5D mystic. And so once I got clairs, I was pretty aware of one, what clairs were. I didn't realize they are the same as the spiritual gifts. And I didn't realize that all of those people in the different institutions wouldn't want to come down together under one umbrella, since faith and spirituality and again being a part of that which is creatorship is really simple. So you have to understand though, it's only when you have a sense of self-worth that being ordinary, meaning having the average, is going to be something that you're like, yeah, okay, you're okay with a spectrum. In fact, the individuals who don't like the spectrums, they have what is called shame, blame, fault, revenge, and not a whole sense of self. That's right. So they don't know the depths of who they are, which is why they actively don't know that they are made by the same breath that flows through the entire universe. They also don't know that they can open those wings that they came to Earth with, and that they can feel safe. And the knowledge that they can let their light shine with absolute safety. So I'm reading to you from the lovely Balance, the Oversoul of Sujilite, because we still have some messages. Let me show you. From our lovely new moon, and that one is where we discussed it. We discussed how a new cycle has been opened up to you, and you have been opened up to it. And that's in that multidimensional awareness of yourself and your heart's emotional knowing through your mind's mental knowing. So this is called integration of the brain. So here is our lovely Sujilite. I might be pronouncing it wrong. I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I do 5D mystic, spiritual self-help, mindfulness, and mindful living. So you hear stories here, and then we'll have membership content for daily practices, and then we have one-to-one mentorship, the master classes in the making, and eventually spiritual retreats and gatherings for those of you who will be a part of a community of lovely IHP 5D collective members. So we know that a person without a sense of self won't experience the depths of life, let alone the richness of love. In fact, feminine and masculine harmonize within ourselves and then within their lives with the 5D ascension energies and spiritual life when they are actively a mindful person who has their sense of self with that deep purpose. And so owning it and saying, I know what I want in life. I want to be me, and I want to have meaningful connections with those who are enriching my life. So this one also is part of our message, this lovely Pardo. And that's the new cycle, multidimensional, and from that lovely heart. And again, the balancing of it, and then our lovely Ruba Aura, which also clears our lovely heart and allows it to be activated. So these lovely 3 cards right here. As you close on out a cycle, you're getting to put into practice this, for those of you who found your sense of self, so you uncharged all of those childhood trauma stuff, all those wounds, right? So you are here and you are unconsciously loving and forgiving. It's coming from here. Nobody made you, so you've done the healing, okay? Then there are others who are on the healing journey, and then there are others who didn't have rupture, so we didn't have the rupture. And I can tell you all about no rupture with this sense of self, my solo self, my core, my narrative, my relational self. The name is Maria. That's where when you overflow with humanity, as our lovely Sadhguru shares, divinity descends. Yoga is a portfolio of ventral vagal toning exercises. Mindfulness and meditation, they support the three pillars of the mind, which supports integration, which brings your inner and outer well-being. And in fact, that's why our lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel. So I learn a lot from different subject matter experts, by the way. And then I bring to you my mysticism channel guidance and my one-to-one mindset, and mindset mentorship stuff. And I don't like teacher as much as content creator or mentor, but again, obviously words are not important, but they are important to give you the gist of something. And I'm actively wanting to find, give me one moment as I sit in silence with you. If we can't express or aren't expressing our true feelings, it's not going to be a genuine relationship. Ron Siegel. So when people have a sense of self, that's when they'll know how to bring forth a real relationship, because they're real. So they're authentically allowing their emotions to come up because they have a window of welcome. Okay, so they know how to also keep that adolescent essence alive. So our lovely brain, it has a way it develops. Okay, so your sense of self, you own it when you have the earned secure attachment or you stayed with your secure attachment, it's whole. And then you allow yourself to disengage from those belief systems and the, what are they called? Hold on, what other word? Conditioning. So the belief systems and conditioning from the household. And that's where, as a teenager, you can have done that. I know I did. So once you move to your adolescence, the 12 to 24, by the time you're 12, you probably will have made some decisions that were not in tune with your heart or value body. I raised my hand. I consciously became aware of it. And I said, grown-ups are right here, here, and here. They're not right here, here, or here, but they definitely are right here, here. So I know I'm committed to what I'm building, and I'm reliable. So my safety and security in being Maria didn't come from my peers. I learned how not to gauge my peers because they were all, and they continue to be, those who are active adolescents, but not the grown-up version. So when you have non-bilateral integration, that means you're only using your left, you're actively not engaging with the right, and I will notice because you're going to have basically an adaptive, maladaptive child pattern of behavior. So you may be addicted to novelty in a way that is not healthy for you. You may be addicted to unfortunate relationships where you and a person are push-pull and you make sense of a toxic relationship. You may be addicted or basically completely uncaring about the fact that your nervous system goes on and off between sympathetic and dorsal vagal, and that you're actively tiring it out by the minute, because whenever there's a sense of calm, you get agitated because you need to be in a hypervigilant state. So all these lovely things are not so lovely. And they're not lovely when we hear people wanting to just say Lucifer every time, something goes on, versus no, people can use a good therapist that involves sensory motor and somatics so that they can start to know that the body is important, and that's your divine feminine, and that the mind is also, and that's your divine masculine, but that mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset. Mindset can work, mindsight not really, and mindfulness depends. Because those three pillars of the mind means focused attention, okay? Now we move to awareness, the second. And awareness is maximum uncertainty. Now we got shit coming up. Are you able to contain it? This is what Peter Levine and all the smart sciences of mental health people will share with you. If you're able to contain it, it means you need to know how to talk to me about it. If you don't, then you're going to do what Terry Real talks about with the porous, boundaryless people, which are rigid, harsh, unforgiving, and they actively project their idea, childlike idea of what the world should look like. That's called a distorted sense of self lens, and there's no sense of self really. It's a distortion of the self completely, because you don't own yourself. You don't know how to see yourself, soothe yourself, keep yourself safe or secure in your own body. You're a dysregulated, embodied brain, and I'm going to know you're in your survival mode because of your Cusco attitude. And so the ones who know the difference are the ones of us who own our sense of self. As a teenager, I didn't have a teenage attitude. I was just a teenager. So I learned how to bring my limbic system down and not to be, the waves left and right. So again, I made my choices after that first initial introduction with my adolescent brain, because all of us have that societal system that comes up. So we're going to look to our peers, our next alloparenting group. And that's two choice points right now. So I'm a feminine who brings to you also channeled guidance messages alongside, just FYI, and spiritual self-help, mindful living. So stories, but also chiming in with food for thought so you can become aware of yourself more and more and more. And when you own, again, that sense of self, you know life, love, and how to be yourself mindfully, spiritually, and in relationships because you choose, use your human name. I'm Maria. Who are you? Good. Nice to meet you. I don't change. I'm a conscious, living, breathing human being who, well, my body will change. I will become more flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. So technically, if we need to be sticklers, you'll say that I have changed. I will say I've expanded because my core didn't change. My sense of self has not changed. I learned from God how to be humble. I learned from God how to respect all. I learned from Jesus how to forgive all. I learned the basics of those 10 commandments and did not waver because I made conscious choices. Doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes. So what it can mean is that I did do things that I knew were not right and that I made amends and that I actively asked for, so sorry, forgive me. And that's why the relationship is personal. It's your pure consciousness state, and you will know of your intent. So if I have no intention to emotionally, mentally, or physically harm you, and I actively behave to respect your spaces, the minute you're projecting at me something which is your distorted view of the world, I don't have to bend down backwards and over to appease you. And I won't. And in fact, this minute where as a teenager I found out what people do with confident people. They actively don't know what to do with us because they don't own their own sense of self. So I don't think that because you don't know confidence that I need to become a person who cowers. No, I won't. You don't know confidence. Maybe you might want to learn how to be your authentic self versus bringing your thoughts and emotions around and tainting my world with your mouth. I don't see the world with the same eyes. I don't even feel it with the same heart. Even though the heart is one, it's still a muscle. Those feelings, they're 6 and they're basic. If you don't have a relationship with your mental and emotional body and your physical body, you're not going to grow that depth. So once again, sense of self is very clear to a person who, use your name, please. I have a name, and then I have a heart body and belly body. So it's not perfection. It's called imperfection and flaws and integrity, and it's based on a human being name who knows of a whole 3-year-old heart and a 1-year-old and a 16, no shame. You actively get taught how to be respectful, how to accept others and differences, and how to love unconditionally when you're taught that different doesn't mean defective. And then when you see what teenagers do, which is lie, like Cusco, actively not have your back, actively make decisions and speak as if we're all in it together, and then watch them run away. Okay, so as a grown woman, I still see it. It's a different story, but I want to share it with as much respect towards all people because what I know about me is I'm a 4'9" woman, and if I'm ever in any kind of physical peril, I know that I'm probably, I think, gonna try and run away. So that means I would leave my herd because everyone likes to talk about that whole selfish self, all that stuff, right? So I'm gonna say the unkindness that is realistic is that we see people who did not get safely and securely attached continue their adolescent and then the gender stereotypes and all of that, which goes on with people in suffering. The ones who just don't move into bliss or delight for one reason or another. I'm in the bliss and delight, and I have Jesus and God to thank for these. Obviously, my mother, my twin, my family, all that great stuff too, but at a certain point, you are solo on your own. Once you get into that adolescent, again, your societal system comes online. You're not looking for your attachment figures, which is the first alloparenting group. But furthermore, some of us don't look to them at all for these because we get raised to be an independent sense of self. So I got to be raised to be an independent whole person with the essence of Maria. Okay, so I'm just going to let you, that's why I get lucky with the primary caregiver who taught me how to just be you and don't follow people if they're going to jump off a bridge, because otherwise you're going to be stupid with people and let them not jump off a bridge, but obviously you can't stop them. So it was don't follow the crowd. Okay, so once you know who you are and the crowd doesn't make smart choices, why would you follow them? So I actively didn't follow the crowd. I said, okay, you learn things, you're not perfect at all. What I was trying to get to is we all are flawed. So when someone says selfish, to me, the word selfish is something meaningful in the moment that we're in physical peril. In other moments, it means you and I might have different ideas, belief systems, morals. It doesn't mean anything when you're telling me selfish. So for all I know, you want me to use my 24 hours in the way you want me. To me, you're being selfish. Okay, so these words are not black and white. They're not all or nothing for flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. Prefrontal cortex. So mindful brains and people who own their sense of self. We know what life is about, and we know what love is about, and we definitely are ourselves with others. So when someone wants to bring in what is a Cusco attitude, you end up really not noticing it at all. But what I was trying to get to is you're not comparing it in a way of somebody is more selfish, less selfish. Instinctively, we're all going to do what our first 3 years of life brain decided. Now, if you want to go and keep using stories, you can. But the point is, the 7-month mark is when implicit memory begins to be being given to the infant, the fetus. And then we have genetics. So there's more than just genetics, though. In genetics, it is shown that the way that you can be raised, and for example, I was reading a neuroscientific article about, was it about holding babies? Hold on, I have it. It's in Italian though, so I won't be able to translate it. But what effect the caressing of a child, or the effects of being able to caress on the brain in their development, something like that. It's a touch, and touch activates that lovely ventral vagal, our social engagement system. So the word in Italian is carezza, if you're curious. And they actively have done research. It's a university somewhere. 1 second. I'm going to pause in silence. But it's too long for me to pinpoint all of the data that you would probably be looking for. So if you're curious, just let me know and I'll send you the article. It's in Italian, but again, I'm sure you can have it translated. So the effects of caressing on the synapses. And actively in southern Italy, Naples, we were all over hugging, and my grandpa would pinch us, and I remember those pinches, and then he'd give us these kisses, and all human touch is what has us being full of life. We also have a Vesuvius, and then there's a super volcano, the Campi Flegrei area. So we have 24 hours, basically. But my point was that people will always try to save their physical life. Then we have the mental and emotional plane, which is a lot more gray and rainbowish, because we have people who don't get a secure attachment environment. So if you didn't get to be the quirky little you without being in any of that shame stuff, okay, you will have basically ruptured. Your narcissistic bubble didn't get left to just unfold naturally, meaning that the world narcissism bubble is something I learned from other trauma therapists, and I will fuck up the words, just so you know, so don't you be writing down shit, because I ain't doing it in order. Just so anyone knows, I like to chit chat, and then I don't pay attention or regurgitate material. I organize it however it comes out. And if you want lessons, you go to college and get a bachelor's and a master's, and then you keep learning, because there's a buttload of subject matter experts, and they chase each other down the hallways. The sciences people, they chase each other. Spirituality, it's our faith. So that nobody can come to tell a spirituality person that they have or own anything, which is why we also laugh when they say, oh, I'm disproving God. Sure you are. I'm disproving spirituality. Yeah, whatever. I will. No, you keep trying. You can keep calling it a hard problem of consciousness. We know it's not a problem. The ones of us who are feminines, we're like, yeah, it's giggly. Because we got a good relationship with emotions, Zen master. So fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. Anyone young at heart? Michael Bublé or Frank Sinatra? Frank is the original. For it's hard, you will find, to be narrow of mind if you're young at heart. And exactly, the essence of the adolescent brain. Let's remember. And then I'm going to move on to our next episode. But we have the inner child, adult brain. So it's my whole 3-year-old heart, my whole 1-year-old heart. And then I got a 16-year-old. The emotional spark and passion completely here, especially because my Neapolitan heritage. Mwah. Oh, I love my Neapolitans. The south of Italy. I'm completely letting anyone know I don't enjoy the north. I'm not interested in it. But I understand why people who want order go up there. They like formalities and order and all this distance. I don't. I'm cool with the... Let's make the best of La Dolce Vita. And there was another song that was coming out, but I forgot it. Social engagement. So here they're real into the deal. They'll tell you shit to your face, which is really nice. And even when they tell you shit to your face, they don't tell you all shit in your face. Like my one friend who didn't tell me, I don't believe in anything, Maria. And when I found out, I yelled at him about it. I said, in a car, I waited till we were alone, because as we were out in public, I said, okay, it's not really nice of me to start chewing him out. I mean, he is like a brother, but still. I have learned as I got older how to wait till we're together so that I can get in your face and be like, okay, now we're going to talk. Because now we want to because it's, private conversation. I'm not insulting you, but I want to talk it out. And talking it out means we have a whole buttload of time to do that, okay? Oh, and we talked. And he taught me. This is my one friend that taught me basically that even assholes don't know how to tell you shit to your face. So I just learned that liar, liar, pants on fire, they're all afraid of rejection. And I'm like, I don't reject, I do Jesus. I forgive. I don't understand. So as a teenager, I learned how people don't know this. And as I got older, I learned. So I just don't bother, because if you don't own your sense of self, you won't own yourself. I don't have an empowered anything in front of me. I got a person who, if you go get good therapy, maybe you're going to say you want to do self-help, personal development. Or you're going to say, I want to do it, Maria. I want to now. Or you're going to become a Zen master with laundry in your body. And I'm like, okay. So empowerment means you can do emotions and thoughts, just FYI. That's at least here. Self-empowered human beings are not whining about our emotional spectrum because we love our emotions. We don't whine typically. Typically, someone will say you are whining. When I'm complaining about, I don't know, my shoes don't fit, my dresses don't fit, I don't fit anything, why am I, that's called, you're whining now, okay? That's why. So engaging in novelty and creative exploration. That's exactly why when you're young at heart, you will find that it's hard to be narrow of mind because we're always expanding. You can go to extremes with impossible schemes. Definitely, yes. Everything's possible. You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams. Definitely. You can I attest to this. I attest it when you're moving from the 4D spectrum to the 5D spectrum. Oh, you will find it. This is the spirituality mystic crew. 5D, we know it's happening. The feminines, the true feminine. We're not destabilized because we're not lost in the superheroes, supervillain story. Yeah, the evil, good people, they're in extremes. It's called black and white thinking. They could go to therapy, but they don't want to. And so they don't get on a journey with a good therapist like Patrick Tiahan. And then whenever they're ready, whenever it is, to forgive their family, then they can know what we're talking about. And I'm not joking, because Jesus taught me forgiveness. I'm not perfect. Again, in a death-like scenario, I might run and leave you. I've become aware of my weakness and my cowardice. I'm just letting you all know I'm not perfect. So if I'm a coward because I'm going to run away to physically save me instinctively, how dare I tell anyone who's a coward because they don't want to love a human being that they're a coward. And FYI, they also have a 3-year-old that runs away because they actively didn't have a safe environment, though. So mine is different, meaning my body is actively doing the thing I want my body to do, which is why I'm not going to hold it against somebody who's afraid of love. They actively don't want love. They'd rather stay in that which is, as Patrick Tiahan points out, those toxic relationships, because that's their safe space. It's unfortunate business. They even make it make sense, and they call that love. So, again, a person without a sense of self, they won't experience the depths of life. Some people do. When they do, they come join us, and some people don't, and let alone, therefore, the richness of love. They confuse lust and meaningless stuff, and they don't even notice the contempt, disgust, and shame stuff, so they don't notice once they're, so there's a whole bunch of things when people aren't being self-aware, accountable, and regulating, and they don't find it cool to go and get their sense of self, so the soul self, the core, the narrative relational, so to get out of the distorted self lens of shaming, blaming, faulting, revenging, of the inner critic, outer critic, of projecting. So when people will have healed and or are healing, our healing ones, they all come together and they share their stories, and they don't like those of us who are unconditionally loving. They're actively irritated by us because they're still on the empowerment and justice. So they're looking for bystanders to actively take their side. So once they're ready, they've had enough time to be together and to have charge. If they do want to forgive, then they're going to be ready for that. And that's the minute that they'll go to the neutrality vibration. And unlike the Zen master who still talks about laundry, they'll say, oh, I'm going to vibe in enlightenment. There we go. And that's called you putting your prefrontal cortex down and saying, wow, we're all humans. We all feel. We all think. And we all want to build meaningful connections because we're mammals. Oh, look, my ventral vagal social engagement system is on. Who's going to be enriching my life today? You are, you are, you are, you are. Okay, so we know what we want. Oh, we don't change our mind, and we don't change. Once you own yourself, you're actively the body, the emotion, thought, and thoughts. As Sadhguru shares, it's to serve you the life you are. You're a piece of consciousness. It's called unconditional love. I know all about it. Jesus taught it to me. So did God. And it's called Holy Spirit and Reiki and intelligence and essence of love and life. All of it. So life gets more exciting with each passing day, and love is either in your heart or on its way. It's always in our heart. We don't need it in our way. We got a love affair with life, which is why you better bet there is no saga or drama with twin flame or flame. See my eyes right now? Whenever I think of these people that have made what they've made, I know why. I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. Let me let you in on a little fun fact. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. What time is it? Yeah. You know what? It's time for me to wake up. Oh, yay, I woke up. Who's with me? All the people who want to be with me. They woke up, and what did they do? Let me see, let me see, let me see. They expressed their genuine feelings with me, and I'm building relationships. Yes, because they actively don't create an emotional distance. They don't do the silent treatment. They don't actively move away from me. They create a secure connection, a secure attachment. They give me answers. They want to involve me. Something very straightforward. They commit to their job. They commit. So people who know commitment, they build. They actively build because, one, nobody has an objective view. All of our views of reality are based on the accumulation of past experiences. Thank you, Ron Siegel. I won't read the past part because the past part is, if you want to tell me that you know what you are, then I'm going to say you know how to build, because it's 2 hands and 2 feet. God or no God, it's common sense. Now, with that being said, the people who I get to see not building stuff and they want to talk to you about love being drama, not drama. But for the people who don't own their inner child, yeah, it's drama. So they can use Patrick Tian, and then they can also use Terry Real. Once they learn how to love themselves, then they're ready for mindfulness, mindset. Because they can contain all this stuff, contain this, and then they actively do it. And they don't think of it as laundry. They don't think of it as hard or easy. The ones who still want to have that out there, it's because they actively don't know how to just say, I have a relationship with emotions that is, I don't want them because I suffer from them. And that would bring them into grounded reality of saying, okay, wait a minute, but I am human. I want to go do emotions. So people who are into healing, because your body and your brain want to heal in the first place, your origins are meant to be what I am and what all these other people are, you're not going to stop. Now, it is challenging, so again, but the ears and the eyes and the heart will be called to that which they're ready for. So when you're ready to welcome your sense of self, and to welcome life, and to welcome love, and to welcome being yourself, and to welcome being mindfully yourself, and or spiritually yourself, within your life and your day-to-day relationships, it's because you've created enough of the self of you space to say, I am deserving of meaningfulness, because you will feel it. It's your human nature to want to live, at least with one. That's why our attachment system, and that's why the monogamy people are the majority, and monoamory, and that is not good or bad, but for my polyamory community, come on over. Not all of us, FYI, are polygamous. Some are polygamous, some are just polyamorous, and just isn't better or worse. Some are solo poly. We don't do hierarchy, and we don't do 1, 2, 3s, and we don't do labels. There's no labels. You actively have a human name. Please use it. So we know that it's worth every treasure on earth to be young at heart. For as rich as you are, it's much better by far. Yes, to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive out of being alive. And that is the best part. You have a head start if you are among the very young at heart. And I love the idea of living till 1,500. So that's actively how you feel. And that's because you can keep an adolescent brain when you have integration of the brain, which is what mindfulness and mindset help. So we're going to conclude with our lovely, where are you, Daniel? My Daniel Siegel. He's not mine. I just get like that. I love all that content and all that educational material that I get to embark on, thanks to beautifully smart people. And he does research, and he's way better at organizing it all because he's an active, still academic in his way. I'm not. I chose not to. I just support those who want to do extra stuff in their life to self-help you to be you. and to use your mindset, and then to involve mind sight and, again, mindfulness. So adults who maintain the essence of that adolescent brain, they have healthier brains, they are more robust, they live more robust lives, and they actively have that passion of that emotional spark. They have the capacity to know deep connections, and so social engagement and what the difference is. To have the courage to go and do novelty seeking, but not the ones like Catch Me If You Can, where you end up in prison. No, no, to actually seek novelty in what you're learning, bringing together different types of sciences, spirituality, spiritual. Okay, so when people interrupt and say, excuse me, you're confusing shit. No, I'm not, but okay, narrow state of consciousness, have fun. That's what it is. You just leave it alone. You want to move on. I get curious about it because I'm like, oh, you know what? You have something to say. I won't ever figure it out, but I know what I was talking about. You just didn't hear me from your entirety because your left mode thinks it knows more than I do. And I didn't actively compete with knowledge. I'm doing something and being it all in one. So we don't need to work on the essence way to actually have an imagination to try new things. Those of us who are whole 3-year-old hearts and our teenage self, but with a grown-up entrepreneurial and intellectually and emotionally high vibing brain, who are like, we're all over it. Where are you? Where's my young at heart people? So come on over for mindful living and true spirituality, because it is a life that is full of meaning and connection with people who do have a sense of self. So they want to experience the depths of life. They're not afraid of being vulnerable. They actually know that owning their sense of self, shedding belief systems and conditioning, is why they are moving towards their inner and outer well-being. It's called dharma. So they're not living karma. They're being their authentic self with people, and they want to be vulnerable with others. And that's where that depth of purpose comes from. So it's when you're owning who you are, being who you are, and being able to be vulnerable. And mindful living is all about that. And so it is to be in mindsight. The ones who are still working through this laundry, again, they're still on a journey. So here we're in the next step of that journey, which is you build more flow. So you're dealing with unwanted, uncertainties, unexpecteds from within. You're still getting to know more of your inner world because there's always more for you to learn, but you are going with the flow. You're learning how to grow self-empowered, enlightened, infinite higher human conscious potential life and being yourself. So thank you for stopping by. You can inquire about one-to-one mentorship, the masterclass, which is in the making, and there's going to be in a year's, I hope, or 2 years time. I need to figure all that logistics out, but a spiritual retreat with my lovely planning in the head. I also have content that I want to create, so I need to create an organized way of presenting it all. But in the meantime, we're building a beautiful community. Remember that you find IHP also on other platforms, because the video, YouTube, podcast, they're ending up on our audio version podcast, and that's Spotify for podcasters, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. There's like 11 platforms. I never remember all of the names, but Spotify or Spotify for podcasters is the first that will come to my mind. And Spotify is where you can see the videos when I upload our content with videos. So thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe again. And if you do know people who enjoy spiritual self-help and mindful living, and they're happy to be alive, they want to share laughter and joy, and they actively know we're all here as ordinary people doing the best we can, following those laws, instinctively trying to, keep working on that body of ours and mind to bring forth safe haven, secure base, so that more of us can be around each other, no matter what different opinions we have, and actively enrich our lives, because we're here to share the glow. So even if it's one-to-one, because here we talk about personal development, it's still meaningful, because at least we can create neighborhoods where people support each other, and or even just your family, being able to have the capacity to sense life from the depths and then to share that. You are going to be gifting to 1, 2, 3, a number of people that gift of you, but also your active vibe. If you are mastered in the mental, emotional, and physical plane of intelligence, that is not a fancy word. You actively can bring a sense of harmony and stuff. So it's important. No matter how small you may think you are, we're all small in specks. Actually, that's the truth of it. But the smallness is still an impactful one and you're bringing a sense of ease, because all humans have secondary consciousness. And so it may seem silly, but for a lot of people, the fact that they know they wake up and then they might not, again, they might say, no, 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 that's not true. It's true. So bringing ease to others is already something beautiful. And then obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure you have a buttload of more ideas. So the more flow you got, the more you think. It's an amazing and enriching experience. And there's a buttload of smart people out there. So we have lots of new ideas coming up. Thank you again for stopping by. We'll see you shortly.